Hey folks, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to The Human Show. My name is Trish, and I am a mom, a certified adult chair life coach, and an evolving human like you. And my intention is to raise the vibration of the planet by helping to expand the emotional intelligence of as many people as possible. I am here to hold space and share wisdom in support of your personal evolution. I know the path can sometimes be dark, so let's carry a light for each other and find our way. Here we go. Hey folks, thanks for being here. Today I wanted to talk about expectations, and specifically expectations for ourselves. In March, I put together a series called Welcome to the Woo. If you haven't heard it, check it out. It was super fun. And my plan was, okay, I'll release these through April, and then May, maybe I'll do a couple solo episodes. June, I'll start another series. Well, guess what? Here it is, July, and I am now recording. I didn't do anything in May and June for the podcast. And the past couple years in May, I've had, pretty significant emotional breakdown. And I was trying to figure out what it was. Is it some planetary shift, some universal energy change? Is it the moon? Like, what is going on in May? Well, what I recognized pretty early in May was that in the last, like 6 to 8 weeks of school, the schools seem to cram in like 40 events, right? I have 4 kids in 3 different schools, so it's a lot. May and June are a lot. And I realized that in the beginning of May, I was like, hang on. I looked at the calendar and I was like, hang on. If I try to squeeze podcast work into this insane schedule, I'm going to lose my mind. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put it aside for now. And guess what? I didn't have the breakdown. So maybe what happens in May has nothing to do with the universe, but just has everything to do with the school calendar. I mean, I know there are still planetary shifts happening. In fact, I think there were some pretty big ones last couple months. When I looked at the calendar in May and I was like, okay, I'm not going to be able to squeeze anything extra in here and keep my sanity. So, pretty happy about that awareness because, like I said, it prevented the breakdown. But it got me thinking about the expectations that we set for ourselves. So many of us are constantly setting expectations for ourselves. And there's nothing wrong with setting goals and making plans and having a target to aim for. Like, that's all great. What I find is the problems arise when we don't hit that target or that goal or meet that expectation, and we get really critical of ourselves. See, that's when things start to go sideways, and we are our toughest critic, right? So how are you talking to yourself after you missed a goal? How do you talk to yourself when you didn't meet an expectation that you set? Now, you may not be talking to yourself out loud like I often do, but there is that voice. There is that internal self-talk. And raise your hand if you've criticized yourself for not doing what you hoped you would do. I'm raising my hand right now. So, yeah, I really wanted to talk about this because I hear it all the time from people. Because sometimes they say it out loud. Often I hear people voicing their disappointment in themselves for everything they didn't do. Before I forget.
Who said that? 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 Who said that?
This really great quote by Brene Brown. We humans tend to define things by what they are not. And I thought that was so perfect for this episode because I find that we tend to define ourselves by what we are not, right? I mean, how many times has that happened for you? Maybe it's at work, right? A lot of these things happen at work. Someone says, "Oh, you made 5,000 in sales this month. Good for you." And you're like, "Yeah, but I was going for 10." So like when people congratulate us or they compliment us, often we're like, "Yeah, but," right? Think about it. I'm sure you could come up with a bunch of instances where you responded with, "Yeah, but I didn't do blank. Yeah, but I didn't get as far as I wanted," right? We're always criticizing ourselves for everything we didn't do, and we often forget to recognize what we did do. I talk a little bit about this in the episode I did about year-end reflections. This idea of celebrating everything you've done, because it's human nature to point out the negative, and we're missing so much when we do that. Maybe you have kids in school and you were hoping to go to the end of the year party and volunteer, and then you get swamped with other things and you don't make it. And what do? You beat yourself up. You're like, "I'm a terrible parent. I can't believe I missed the party. I should have been there." All those things, right? All those criticisms. And when you could take a look at the reasons you didn't go to the party and take a look at the things you were working on, maybe it's work related, maybe it's household related, maybe it's just personal, whatever. You were putting your attention toward things that you felt needed your attention. You can't give your attention to everything and everyone all the time. Like, you don't have enough attention to give like that. Your attention it's like a bank account. You only have so much to spend every day. So you get to decide where and how you want to spend it. And sometimes you look back and you think, "Oh, I wish I hadn't spent so much time on that. I wish I had spent more time on that." Just make a note of that. And then next time you're choosing where to put your attention, you might adjust. I love to talk about self-celebration. I love to remind people to do this. For some people, it's not reminding. For some people, it's teaching them for the very first time about self-celebration. And I think a common misconception is that celebrating yourself is selfish. I think there's this idea we have when we compliment ourselves, when we pat ourselves on the back, we're being selfish or self-centered. We're not. This is part of building self-love. And the amount of love you have for yourself really determines how you show up in the world. And if you are someone who's often criticizing yourself, then you're likely showing up in the world with an energy of reaching, an energy of like pushing and trying, and maybe some codependency, maybe always feeling like you have to do more. And if you're doing that, then where's the end? Like, where is the point where you feel like, "Okay, I've done enough"? Where is that place? Is it when you're completely physically exhausted and you literally can't do anymore because you have to sleep? That's not healthy. So many of us were just striving to do more and more and more without an actual goal in mind, without an actual stopping point in mind. So then the question arises, how much is enough? How much is enough for you to feel like you've done enough? How much is enough for you to feel like I am enough? Even when we set a goal or an end point or a stopping point, whatever you want to call it, often we get there and we think, "Well, maybe I could have done more." well, maybe I could have gone further, right? And this just goes back to that question of when is it enough? Hey folks, sorry for the interruption. I just wanted to quickly share some news. I have created a small group coaching adventure to help women who are navigating divorce and breakup. There will be 8 weekly live calls with me. It's going to be transformative, and I am super excited. Doors are opening soon, so check the show notes for info. Okay, back to the show. And I think for a lot of us, this boils down to this belief that we're not enough. So we keep trying to do more and make more. And it doesn't end because at our core, we don't feel like we're enough. And if that's true, it doesn't matter how much you do, it's never going to be enough. And, I think this is the root of our self criticisms. Our inner critic is speaking from that place of, I'm not enough. Because when you feel like you're enough, you won't criticize yourself for every mark you missed, for every target you didn't hit, for every to-do list that has a few things left on it at the end of the day. When you believe you are enough, you can recognize and appreciate everything you are and everything you do. So my invitation for all of you is today or tomorrow or one day this week, at the end of the day before you go to bed, just reflect on your day. Make a little mental list. It can even be a physical list if you want to write some things down. And I want you to list the things you accomplished. This could be anything. This could be, I made myself lunch. Awesome. This could be, I got out of bed at the first alarm. I didn't hit the snooze button. Awesome. This could be, I made dinner for my family. I went for a walk. I showed up to work on time. I smiled at someone in line at the store. Like, these things that seem little to us, they're important. So often we overlook these quote unquote little things, but these are all the things that are carrying the great energy, this happy energy, this powerful energy. It doesn't have to be a big thing to carry healing, positive, happy energy, okay? It can be anything. Smiling at someone in the store, that's amazing. And that can create this ripple effect, right? So the more we appreciate things and appreciate ourselves, the more we will build our self-love. And the more that will ripple out and affect the people around us. And when you do this, when you reflect and you make your list, okay, I want you to omit all the nots, all the didn'ts, all the wasn'ts, okay? Leave out all those negative Nelly words. I just want you to recognize and highlight what you did. And then I want you to do it again the next day. And I want you to do it again the next day. I want you to start highlighting what you do in a day, not what you didn't do, what you did. Because I bet it's a lot. In fact, I know it's a lot. And I know that whatever you didn't get to or didn't finish, I bet 99% of the time you're the only one noticing that. I mean, like I said, we are our biggest critic. So we need to start changing how we look at ourselves. When we start appreciating ourselves, when we start increasing our love for ourselves, and some of you might be rolling your eyes right now, just stay with me. This is important. The more we build our love for ourselves, the more authentic we're going to show up in the world, the more fulfilled we're going to feel when we're moving throughout our day. And we're going to notice how people around us might change. Interactions will start changing. When you show up differently in the world is going to look differently to you. So I invite you to start showing up from a place of, I am enough. And a simple way to start is just by the daily reflections, like I just mentioned. Appreciating those things, appreciating you. If you don't appreciate yourself, how can you expect anyone else to appreciate you? You need to start with you. I don't remember who said this quote, but, be the change you want to see in the world. If you want things around you to change, you need to start inside. You need to change yourself. That's how you start making things around you change. So I guess the bottom line here that I want to get across is give yourself a break, okay? Give yourself a break. Start practicing appreciation for yourself because you deserve it. You deserve it. Don't wait for anyone else to appreciate you. Appreciate yourself. All right. I think I'll wrap it up today before I go off on any more tangents here. So I hope you found some value in today's episode. I hope you were able to connect with some of it at least. And until next time, you are enough, just as you are, and you are loved. Make a great day. Hey, before you go, if you enjoy The Human Show, you can help me spread the word by sharing it and leaving a review. Thank you.